Oh, baby, we're back. We're back and we're ready. And I even have a camera today as well. Holy fucking moly. Good morning to everyone out there in cryptocurrency land. I see that there are some complainers. We have a rule here. No complaining. There's no complaining tolerated at all. And we have people saying, I unlike this video due to the lateness of it. How dare you? How dare you indeed? I was dropping off my brown coins at the Super Bowl, if you catch my drift, before this stream, and that's why there needs to be a delay, okay? If it wasn't that way, then this stream would look a lot different, I do think, and probably I would as well. Anyways, there's actually a decent amount of things to talk about today, despite Bitcoin being more or less sideways over the past couple days. It does look like the Bitcoin boo laws are going to make their stand here just around about $93,500. And I suppose only time will tell if they are successful in that endeavor. Anyways, Matador MC says, Krown, you had one job. Don't start the stream at my dinner time. Where do you live if it's dinner time right now? That's a real question. Must be on the West Coast or something. What's up, Mr. Philson? A good OG back in the house as well. And Mr. Matthew Smeed saying brown streaming. Yes, brown streaming. That's what we would call it. The shit stream. The shit stream for the shit coins. Anyways, there's a few things actually on the horizon for today. There are the gerbs coming out a little bit later, and I don't know how much it actually matters, but the market will very likely use it as an excuse to move, especially with yesterday. You know, U.S. markets were closed for the trading day. I believe former president Jimmy Carter had died, so he gets his, we get a day of rest, I guess. Anyways, it looks like the game's back on today as well. And, with Bitcoin, I mean, you know, I suppose that we'll see a bit of volatility around that jobs reading later today. But honestly, I don't really see any other direction than sideways in the very, very short term here, to be honest with you. Anyways, I see a lovely moderator, Mr. Alex Switch. Good morning to you as well, sir. And go cry to your mama. If you make him weep, seek Jesus. I don't know what the hell that means, but sure, man. Is there any way we can't get a bump? Is there any way that we can't get a bump for what? What is this like drug speak? What are you trying to get at here, sir? Mr. Ian Terry, good morning to you as well. Happy Friday indeed. Another OG of this cave back from 2018. what are people? I must be missing some sort of, yes, I'm lobotomized and I'm missing some sort of context in the chats right now. I'm trying to understand like what conversations people are having, but it doesn't seem very clear to me. They're all discombobulated. Anyways, I do want to remind people that we will be having the weekly Q&A session, probably not tomorrow, Saturday, because we're doing this live stream today, but Sunday. I will save it for there. And of course, in the meantime, that means that the Discord group over here will be available to join on in if you're joining to this a little bit late, or if you're viewing this from like a different, I don't know, time zone or something like that. Maybe this makes more sense as it can be pre-recorded. You can post whatever sort of questions that you might be having in the Discord here, which you can find a link to in the description below. Other than that, who's got a bump? Who's got a bump says Rave Song Records. It's like the username and the post content very, very correlated. Anyways, I'm streaming your live on TikTok. Cool, man. I did not know that that's even a thing, honestly. TikTok fucking scares me, man. I tell you what, though, I don't have a TikTok and I don't want to have a TikTok, but what I do like is I like at the evening hours under the right influences watching TikTok compilation videos on YouTube with Elsa. Usually they're titled something like woke TikTok cringe or like fat TikTok cringe, you know, shit like this. But it's actually very illuminating. And yeah, after watching that, I think TikTok probably should be banned, honestly. Like, no one should have access to this. It's very bad. Very, very bad. We're only doing it for the science, yes. Or we're doing it for the CCP's benefit, perhaps. That would seem a little bit more likely to me. But you know what? Life will go on nonetheless. Knife will go on. Life will go on nonetheless. It's Krown. You sound like you're using an auto-tune. Do I really? I mean, I'm not. I don't actually have any modifications on my voice, so I don't know where that's coming from, man. But that does sound kind of cool. Maybe I sound like fucking T-Pain or something like that, like Akon from way back in the day. I think Akon used autotune. I mean, I think they all used autotune, like those early 2000s R&B people or rappers, whatever the fuck. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm doing it to stalk my kids on TikTok. God, if / when we have kids, holy shit, I do not want to know about their TikTok at all. I don't want, especially if it's a girl. Do not fucking show me. I do not want to know. Akon was a legend. Yeah, he also created a coin. If you remember, he created a coin for. It was sorry. I don't mean like he created a coin. He did create a coin, but the coin that he created was called a coin, and it was for his city somewhere in Africa called, I forget what it was, probably Akon City or some shit like that. I wonder where that one ended up. That was from back in 2018. Back in 2018, it was the Wild Wild West. I mean, things were really fucking crazy there. Like people were just raising up these ICOs with like absolutely nothing behind them and getting all kinds of fucking money. Highly illegal in hindsight, but I don't actually know what happened to a lot of these people who were the progenitors of these projects. You know, did the law ever catch up with them, or did it ever even matter, or I don't know, do they just kind of get away with it? Like, what the hell happened there? Anyways, can we get a TA on a coin? I'm curious if it's actually even still a thing. I'm sure it's probably not on Trinity, but I can check over here on, yeah, holy shit. It is on Coin Market Cap. And it doesn't appear to, well, it's not dead, but it's not zero, but it is dead. Jesus, man. See, this is the problem with most shitcoin charts, is that they will do something like this. That is the general life for 99% of shitcoins over a long enough time period. One massive pop, nothing ever again. The dead heartbeat of death and dismay as all of the green dildo hodlers cry in remorse as the red dildos fill them up from bunghole to mouth. Very bad. Very, very bad. Who's that was interesting YouTuber? Oh. I had to read that out to actually understand. That is actually I can show you him. He's this Japanese guy who does videos about, well, I guess like just asking people questions in Japan. Fuck, what is his name? What is his? Do you remember? I think I do follow him. It's a really good channel, honestly. I don't know. I'm trying to find it right now, actually. Yeah, Elsa will find it. She'll figure it out. He's great, though. He's absolutely great. He has the most blank expressions of all time and does some phenomenal interviews. We'll start the actual analysis on Bitcoin relatively soon here. Do want to give a little bit more time for people to join on in. I do understand that this stream was a bit more impromptu, and they will continue to be a little bit more impromptu. I don't know, for at least the next couple of weeks. And then, yeah, until March, actually, my schedule is going to be quite variable here. So who knows when they'll be? Perhaps we'll keep this schedule here with Tuesday and Friday. I'm enjoying two streams, of course, during this time in the market when things are actually moving and there's different shit to be looking at pretty much, it feels like almost every day, which makes things a lot more interesting, at least for me. But but of course, the live streams are a lot more fun when the market is moving. And it's also a lot more useful, too, because I get to look at all these shit coins that people have that I have absolutely no idea that they even fucking exist. And and sometimes you even find a good one. But more importantly, with a lot of the shit coins, you know, sometimes when Bitcoin isn't super obvious, but shitcoins can be a little bit more obvious in some cases. You know, like if a bunch of shitcoins are super bullish, or I shouldn't say super bullish, but just bullish, and Bitcoin's kind of sideways, okay, I'm gonna probably have an upwards bias on Bitcoin. If shitcoins are looking super bearish and Bitcoin's sideways, you know, I'd be looking to the downside essentially, or vice versa as well. I mean, typically Bitcoin drives it, and Bitcoin usually is the more obvious chart, but not always. We can look at some stocks as well. Yep, I'm happy to do that. I'm actually very interested to do that as well with Microstrategy. I see someone's asking about MicroStrategy right now. I actually just want to look at MicroStrategy just for my own knowledge here. So we'll actually do that one right off the bat. Looking at MicroStrategy, let's go to the weekly first. Weekly, creating a range between that rejective high that we had kind of earlier this week. I'd even put it a little bit higher than that, to be honest with you. I would say about 400. And of course, the lows here on the gap fill, which did happen at about 280-ish region. Anything between there is going to be considered a consolidation. But just like Bitcoin below the current $90,000-ish region, I mean, I'd imagine that this thing comes down below last week's low, as well. And if you see something like that, which by the way, it didn't yesterday, but obviously wasn't trading yesterday. So we'll see what happens today. I mean, I guess if there is going to be a try to the downside, you probably get that today. I mean, today is Friday and it's the next trade, and it's next like real trading day. So perhaps we do get a test down around the lows. Does it make a new low? If it does, that's going to be quite concerning. If this is a big if, okay, understand if then statements, but if this weekly, which closes today, closes below last week's low, which it is very far away from right now, just to be 100% clear. But if it were to, that would be a big breakdown indication for me. Probably looking for this thing to come back down to like 220-ish region. But of course, that's a very big leap from where it's at right now. So a lot of things need to happen in the meantime. Of course, when we go to the not weekly, but monthly time frame, we see the same thing that has kind of been keeping me more optimistic amongst the long-term picture for not just Bitcoin, but a couple of the other majors that we've seen do something relatively similar, where the monthly is still trending above that red 5 exponential moving average, and thus far we've only seen a reconnect with it, which was essentially the low this month thus far. I mean, it could trade a little bit lower, but if you are bullish, I mean, you should be looking at that as like the low. So there are technical reasons to think that the low is in. It's just if that gets invalidated, especially if you see a weekly below last week's low, especially on a closing basis, then I mean, this is going to start to look a lot more like a high. Do we have some bearish divergence possible here? Technically, there would be a very slight amount between this point, the highs of March of this past year, 2024, and the highs in November as well. So yeah, I mean, that would actually be good reason to get this thing much lower if that would happen. But until then, it's not active, it's not available, and you could very easily look at this as like a where you should expect the low. So what does that mean? If you're bullish, you really don't want to see below again last week's low. Until then, you can have some hopium, and I'm not really getting anything super unique from this chart. I do want to check it out over here on this. And I think that might be maybe a bit more illuminating. Let's see. Okay, this is rather interesting. The monthly stochastic oscillator is not in the same position as Bitcoin. Bitcoin's is still positioned to have one more try to the upside. This one will flip back up if it does close this month, which is a very long month left to go, above 373, which right now is trading at 331. Again, 20 days or 21 days left in the month of January. Anything could fucking happen, but yeah, fair enough. Anyways, I am going to get on some Bitcoin analysis right over here. I'm going to take a sip of my nice pristine water in the meantime. I stuck the abundance gem up my bunghole at the correct angle as described in the instructions. Still no pump. Am I doing it wrong? Yes, you need to pump it all the way through there. So it goes in the bunghole, out the mouth hole. That is the green dildo shish kebab, sir. And that means that's how you make money. And that's how it's done. Anyways, let's go over here to Bitcoin. I want to bring back this sort of time relationship that we were looking at. I think this was like about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and it was looking something like this. We were looking at it way back here with Bitcoin putting in these sort of, I guess, rallies from low to high over the course of 7 to 8 days, which were about 15% gains on the upside, followed by 10% declines, between those over the course of 4 to 5 days. And since we identified that relationship, which was back in about mid-December here, we've actually continued to see this play out relatively similarly, actually, since then. We did see, of course, this decline right here, 3 days, 15% down, so a little bit more. This pump up right here, which was closer to 10%, but over about 5 days, so a little bit less on this one as well. And then, of course, we do see the most recent ones over the past couple of days, which are pretty damn similar to what we have seen on the prior ones. And right now, we technically would be in that downside phase. We did see that the low of yesterday was around the third day, which is kind of on the earlier side for these, as we have seen in the past. And it was about 11%, which is very much in alignment with what we have seen on these declines. I mean, all of these have been around 10%. This one was 9, this one was 10, this one was 8.5, and this one thus far was about 11 and a quarter, 11 and a third or so. So, does Bitcoin spend the next, week rallying from this region, or at least, not breaking lower? Perhaps, yes. That's why I do think that Bitcoin probably, not that I do think Bitcoin probably, but Bitcoin does quite literally have a chance to trade sideways here. And I suppose salvage itself. On top of that, the 4-hour time frame itself, which again, 4-hour time frame, very, 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 very low time frame in the grand scheme of things. But there is a slight amount of bullish divergence come off of these last couple lows right here. So short term should try move up somewhere around about 95,000, maybe a little bit north of 95,000. I think minimum like 95.2, let's call it, and perhaps even as much as 96.3 or something like that on today's bounce. But that probably happens before today's event. Again, the jobs report, the gerbs report coming out a little bit later. And I suspect that is going to produce a bit of volatility. You might see a big wick to the downside. You might see a big wick to the upside, but I still don't see this breaking out or breaking down today, this week, maybe even next week as well. I guess if you are bearish, you probably do want this to break down sooner rather than later. So the more sideways that it goes here, the more and more likely that 90,000 or so will hold. But as I get back to my notes over here, let me just reference this. Yeah. On top of that, when we go back to this setup right here, actually, I forgot I have an actual chart for it. Where did I put my damn chart? What did I name my chart? Oh, that is the real issue right now. There we go. Yeah, 5 EMA versus 21. Okay, I named it very, very obviously. Okay, good. Yes, let me put back on this and let me get rid of the non-necessary things right here. Okay, there we go. Yes, and let's get rid of that as well. And so we were looking at this relationship over the past couple weeks as well, where Bitcoin on CME has seen that red moving average cross the downside of the yellow 21 exponential moving average, which is, again, the 5 versus the 21. And anytime that we've seen that in Bitcoin's history, which there have been 20 prior occurrences, all of these throughout Bitcoin CME's history, every time we've seen a minimum correction down to the green moving average, which is the 55 exponential moving average, again, minimum. In many cases, it has gone lower, obviously, but we have seen at least a minimum test down around there. So we still have not actually seen CME officially touch down on that 55. But again, it can trade sideways here and, spend a few days going, I guess, slightly up, slightly down, something like this. And then that moving average is going to get pulled up. I would imagine early next week. Early next week, it should start to really get close to like 91.5, 92,000 bucks. And at that point, do you get your wick down around there and then a big bounce? That would be, again, a good sign for Bitcoin if you do see after that condition is fulfilled. But until this condition is fulfilled, I'm going to always have it in the back of my mind that, Bitcoin can play out, a bit of a, at least a flash pullback to put in a wick down around there. And personally, I wouldn't be looking for any sort of long-term positions. If I am looking to get long for that matter, until Bitcoin actually does retest that region, I want to see a nice big bounce from there, or at least just not a fucking shattering effect. Anyways, moving on from there, I do want to get into this chart right here. The daily stochastic oscillators we identified earlier this week is going into a corrective phase. And more importantly, what I'd also be looking for if Bitcoin is indeed going to salvage itself on this $90,000 region is I'd want to see this, again, work its way down. So momentum spills its way down, spins its wheels down, while price action trades sideways, thus being essentially a reset. So, again, that is still available as long as Bitcoin does not break down. But as you can see, this is naturally going to take some time. That's why I do say that if you are looking for upside, that's not happening anytime soon, or very unlikely to happen anytime soon. I mean, this at minimum is going to take, let's see, 1, 2, 3, four bars at least, in kind of like an optimistic estimation for it to go down for what I would consider like a full reset. That can obviously take maybe closer to like 5 or 6 days, depending upon, the trajectory of this. But again, if Bitcoin essentially is trading sideways here, while that also is moving its way down, I mean, that will be a reset. So again, that's just going to naturally take time. So I'd say, let's see, what would be about, let's call it, I guess a week from today. If Bitcoin is not broken down to new lows, or really just closed below about $91,000 on a higher term time frame, by next Friday, the 17th. That's going to all start to bode pretty damn well for the Bitcoin BULAs, at least for getting a nice big bounce, probably closer to like 97, maybe $98,000. But after that, who the fuck knows? So I think, and also, you know what? We can actually end on a couple more things here as well. Also, we can get over here to the weekly HPDR for CME. Again, this one is closing today. Another reason why I think, even if you are super bearish, Bitcoin's very unlikely to break down today. We do see that the weekly HPDR is playing between the median and the top side of the 38.2 level. I mean, to me, it's a consolidation between those two levels until we see a closure above or below, and the way, the way that it's kind of shaped up right here is for a consolidation. It's not for a breakout or breakdown as it currently matters. The upside was rejected, as was the downside, and it's more or less a doji dildo at this point. So, not really much to be looking at there, but it does suggest that, hey, you're probably looking at some sideways. Even if you're super bullish or super bearish, you're probably looking at least sideways, at least for a few more days, as we do get the new open, which would be, of course, Monday for that one. And then last thing here for daily price statistics, we can see that Friday, a little bit more weighted in terms of whether it's likely to close positively or negatively towards the positive side. Most importantly, what we're interested in with these are the average returns for those positive closing days and the average returns for the negative closing days, because these, very, very often play out as nice boundaries for price action on the day. Not always, obviously. There are breakouts and breakdowns, of course, but, in general, price is going to play between there. We can see that to the top side, that'd actually be just below $95,000. And, I was looking at earlier, Bitcoin very likely to bounce above 90,000 or a little bit above 95,000, based off of that 4-hour divergence. And of course, to the downside, it actually would be on new lows. I mean, if that were to play out, that would be 90,600. So I suppose we'll see. Again, if there is going to be any sort of, surprise for price action, that's going to come later today, probably around the jobs report. That's going to be the justification for some sort of a move that I think a lot of people are looking for. But my personal opinion is that you're probably not going to see that happen today. And I suppose only time shall tell on that one. Other than that, I should once again remind anyone who's new here that if you find this content valuable, or if you just like joining in on these damn live streams, consider subscribing. It is a good way to get these videos into your inbox each and every day. And, I forgot to mention this as well. And I even have another announcement with it too, which is actually rather exciting. We do still have our sale going on for the beginning of 2021. It goes on for another couple days here until Monday of next week. And the code is 2025 for 20% off of any one of the programs or services. Of course, I've already announced that the Quant Prime service has included now an AI chatbot to kind of help guide people through the setup process and, very common pitfalls that I think a lot of people fall into with that, because it can be a bit daunting at first. But I've started training, and I've actually released a beta version for the Trade Like a Quant program right here, for the people who are a little bit more interested in learning more of an educational sort of trading program, I suppose. And that one I'm really, really excited about. I know I said it'd probably take another week or two to really get live out, but yesterday I couldn't stop fucking working on it. It's so much fun. It's so much fun programming these bots, because you feel like you do the work once and then it actually really does understand it. It seems pretty decently, and then it can disseminate that information to anyone who asks, I guess, given the right prompt. It's really fucking cool, man. It's super fucking cool, at least in my opinion. But I have released a beta form of that for the people who are already in the Trade Like a Quant program. All you need to do is just go on Teachable, and it'll be the first module at the very, very top of your content list. And you can just have that as kind of like a companion, a little bit of a companion app to kind of walk you through things. It's trained on all of the materials there. Again, it's beta format. I do need to, I will certainly need to update it quite a bit more over time, but in its current working format, it actually pretty fucking good, and handles many requests, even very complicated requests, like really well. I'm actually quite shocked with a lot of these things, because one of the big sort of I guess criticisms of AI, in the not so distant past, was that they can't really do complicated things. They're quite basic. They're quite rudimentary. That is just not true anymore. I don't think, man. That is just not true. And with AI agents coming out, I guess probably this year, I guess shit's gonna change, man. Stuff's getting really good, really fucking good. A program for beta males, says Simon Carty. Yes, indeed. We need to train our betas. We need to train our betas, and I am the king beta. That's right. Everyone wants to be alpha. No, I want to be beta. Where's your message, huh? I found it. Okay. All right. Elsa's giving a warning to everyone out there. GM, super chats are priority. No spamming, please, or you'll get bonked with a axe emoticon right next to it. Great shit right there. All right, cool. I'm gonna pull up the comments that I have here. We'll start from the top and we'll work our way lower. I do apologize in advance because it does look like there's actually quite a few, so it might take a little bit of time today. But we'll start off with Mr. Steven Schickman. He's looking at doggy, daily, weekly, any bullish divergence. Well, let's see. Doggy, daily, whoops. It would need to be making a daily downtrend or weekly downtrend in order for it to actually have potential divergence. On the daily time frame, you do have yeah, I guess you do have a little bit of a downtrend. I mean, you do have lower lows and lower highs, but it is more or less a trendy range. Do you have any sort of bullish divergence here? No, you cannot have bullish divergence here because you have not actually made new lows on this current low versus this whole slew of lows that you see here from basically late December. So, to me, this is just a trading range. There's no divergence to be spoken about right now. Let's go over just the weekly look here. I need to get rid of all that other shit. There we go. And basically the range, about 39.5 cents to the upside. Let's just say 40 versus about 30 cents to the downside. 10-cent range, you just tested the top. You're working way towards the bottom of it. I expect that you probably will test closer to the bottom of it. But, just like Bitcoin, I don't think it's ready to break down. Even if it does break down later on, I don't think it would be now. Weekly, same shit. Don't really have anything to add on this. As far as bullish divergence, again, you can't have regular bullish divergence in an uptrend. You could have hidden bullish divergence, but you do not have that either because, well, your last higher low is way back here, and yeah, weekly RSI has not gone lower than that just yet. To me, this is just a trading range, man. I honestly think that things are gonna, just as Bitcoin, go more or less sideways here between essentially this week's high and I think about last week's low. Well, maybe a week prior than that. Let me actually double check for Bitcoin. Yeah, actually, that is pretty much, yeah, that pretty much is. This week tested both the range high and the range low. Sideways is the name of the game for right now. Anyways, moving on, we have Steven Schickman's back. He's looking at Ethereum daily, weekly. Are hopes for new high gone for both? Well, I guess you mean also doggy coin as well. I mean, that's a question of, is the bull market over or not? My personal opinion is that the timing would be wrong for this. The timing would be wrong for it. I would think at least things go until the end of this quarter or the end of this first half of the year. Many people think that it'll go on longer than that. I'm not of that same opinion, at least not right now. But I guess that's just kind of like a backwards way of saying I don't think that that new high hopes are gone. I think, you're just going to enter into a corrective period here, just like you saw, I think very reminiscent from this era over here that we saw almost exactly a year ago. These have a lot of similarities. In fact, now that I look at it, let me just kind of draw this out. But I'm talking about this whole consolidation here, which took place over about 7 to 8 months in 2023, being resolved with a big upside move, followed by this sideways correction right here. This one took about 2 months or so. Yeah, close to 2 months, being resolved in early February. And then things continued on for another run, followed by another major correction. Again, this one in terms of timing, sorry, not just in terms of length, but also in terms of like the literal time of the year, very similar to the prior one over here, followed by the same move to the upside and nearly the same corrective pattern as well that you see right here versus right here. So to me, is the bull market over? I'm not going to call a bull market over until we have an actual downtrend. I've outlaid my sort of major areas of interest that would make me actually really consider that Bitcoin has actually seen the cycle high, and this is just different, and this is just something that I'm looking at, and I say that because I see a lot of comments, not on this live stream, but in the past, of like people really do not like it when you talk about this, but if this happened, I would be bearish. Like I just have to be. That's just one of my rules, and it's very simply this. Bitcoin on a monthly below the red 5 exponential moving average. You see a closure below there. That's going to make this look like a shooting star top, and you're going to have a continuation of the downside, and you're breaking that red 5, which Bitcoin likes to use as kind of like a rally point for its upside pushes, and of course also for its downside pushes when it is in a bear market. But for right now, that would still offer up the potential for a correction lower if Bitcoin does fail below essentially last week's low. Let's call it like low $91,000 on a closing basis. Very, 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 very importantly, on a closing basis, I'd be looking for a correction down here, but that doesn't mean that I would immediately say that the bull market is over. I'd expect a bounce first here, and then if the bounce fails, okay, yeah, then I'd really consider that. But until then, I'm gonna be of the opinion that things probably are more likely to continue upwards, at some point in this quarter, even probably before the end of February. Again, that's been my general disposition here. And when we look at the monthly as well for Bitcoin, I just want to spend a little bit more time on this one. But when we look at the monthly for Bitcoin, let me go over here. Hey, I'm on the wrong damn chart again. Bastard. Okay, here we go. This is the one I was looking for. When we go back to the monthly over here, if the monthly stochastic oscillator continues to the upside, I'm not gonna be bearish, and that will be continuing to the upside as long as Bitcoin's above $90,000. Now, of course, then we get to play the same game next month, February, and I imagine that this pivot probably goes up again, but we'll see. But for right now, it is still up. It is in the critical zone, but being in the critical zone is not necessarily a bad sign. It's just a sign of extremely powerful upwards momentum in this case. It's not until we actually come down below the critical zone, that 80 read right there, and really close, a nice big girthy bar below there, where I'd say, okay, yeah, that's end signal, and I think we also looked at this one. We also looked at this one at the end of the year, the bi-monthly chart. The bi-monthly chart, funnily enough, or maybe not funnily enough, I guess it depends on your sense of humor. But the bi-monthly chart, all twists and turns of the bi-monthly stochastic oscillator pretty much perfectly correlated with the highs and lows of the market, actually. In terms of highs, it called this high right here, pretty much exactly to the T, and this high here. Now, this one, it did not get perfectly, but still, in hindsight, this would have been a great area nonetheless. But just turning down is obviously a concerning feature, and that remains up, again, as long as Bitcoin's above actually $90,000, which is very interesting. So we see the same pivot here on the bi-monthly as the monthly. Didn't expect to see that, but yeah, until that turns down, I still would not really personally entertain the possibility that this market cycle is over. But that is at $90,000, and that's not too fucking far away from where price action is right now. And obviously, if Bitcoin were to close below that red 5 on the monthly, that would fulfill that condition as well simultaneously. So you'd have multiple things. Going for you. Anyways, as far as Ethereum goes, it's very, very long. I spent a long time on that one, but I do enjoy talking a little bit more in that nuanced tone there, because it is fun. And that's what makes market interesting, because it's fucking difficult. But looking at just Ethereum straight up, same shit as Bitcoin, consolidate in this region. For Ethereum, it's essentially this week's high versus this week's low. Or if you want to get super exact, it would be the low of your middle of December dump right here, which is 3,100 or so. As long as prices range between there, there is not anything really going on. Now, I will say, if Ethereum does take out last month's low, like just even trades below it, to me, that's a pretty concerning thing for this one. But until then, same shit as what I said last week, or maybe even earlier this week, that, if you're bullish, you have to be looking at a test down to the 5 exponential, or you don't have to be doing anything, but I would have to be looking at a test down to the 5 exponential on the monthly as very likely, the next major low, until proven otherwise. It's not like a fucking guarantee. It's just gives you something objective to base those, those actions off of. So yeah, man. I'd say the same thing right here as well. Bullish hopes are still alive as long as it's riding that, and that is 3,200 or last month's low. So yeah, fair enough. Anyways. Oh, and by the way, I'm actually curious, where is the momentum pivot here? Because this one's important to me. If the monthly closes below 3,000, okay, it's going to turn down. But until then, it's going to be up. So again, I like it. I test down to the 5 exponential while that still curls up. I would run with the assumption first, the lows are essentially in right there. Again, it's not a guarantee, but it gives us something to kind of measure off of. Looks like Bitcoin's getting that move to $95,000 that we spoke about at the beginning of this video. I think it works its way a little bit higher here, at least to that yellow 21 exponential average, which is 95,300. I don't know why I have this dyslexic issue with reading the second number of a string of numbers always first, and that's what I say. I don't know what the fuck's going on there, man. I'm certainly redacted. Anyways, moving on, we have Justin Myers. He's looking at, MicroStrategy. We kind of did that earlier, so I think probably all good there. Maybe we didn't look at the very, very low term timeframes, but we can do that very quickly here. 4-hour time frame. It's the same range that we're seeing on Bitcoin. It's just without yesterday's price action. I wouldn't call this one a breakdown as long as you're above December 31st low, and I wouldn't call this one, breakout or anything interesting to the upside as long as you're below, what is this, last week's low or last week's high? Yeah, it's this week's high. So yeah, same thing here. It's just not super interesting, but also not as strong as Bitcoin, and in the short term, I suppose. And now that I look at the monthly volatility has hit some pretty extreme levels, which does usually have a correlation with some pretty major highs. You can obviously stay up there for some time, but I'd be looking at Bitcoin, I guess, for direction. If I'm looking at MicroStrategy, I would, if Bitcoin doesn't break down, I don't think that this thing breaks down either, or at least not this week. Anyways, moving on, we have Martin Hunt. He says, good morning to you, sir. Good morning as well to you, sir. Can you look at Fartcoin on the daily? Has it already blown off? Get it? Haha. Yes. That is a great dad joke, sir. Or looking to put in a low here. It's looking to dump. Do you catch my drift? Ha ha ha. My fart coins are dumping. My fart coins are dumping into shit coins. Anyways, Fartcoin. All right, when did we last look at this one? I feel like I probably have a chart for this one because I'm curious to see what I was essentially looking at before. I guess Mexi, who the fuck knows? Let's go over here. Let's take this off. Yeah, okay. Or what did I make this on? Must have been a weekly? Yeah, must have been a weekly. Has it blown off? Kind of say the same thing as Bitcoin. I do think that you have hopium here, as long as you're essentially above, let's call it 71 and a quarter. Just this magical line right here. As long as you're above there, there's potential, yes, because guess what? You do have potential for hidden bullish divergence on the daily RSI. You are making significantly lower lows here compared to your low of the 29th, and price is not on much of a higher low. I will say that. So really do not want to see it much lower than where it currently is, especially not below yesterday's low, I should say. So, if you are bullish here, you got to be looking for some sideways. Again, I don't think it's going to be fucking blowing itself up to the upside anytime soon. That whole gas is off, but if it can hold sideways here for 2-3 weeks, probably gets another try to the upside. But goddamn, man, if I'm just looking at the short term, it's kind of the same as Bitcoin. I think you go up a little bit in the short term. I think you continue to go sideways overall in the medium term. Wouldn't get bearish on this again as long as you're below, or as long as you're above 71 and a quarter. Now, if you do take out 71 and a quarter to the downside, I would be looking for this thing to get really fucking wrecked. Probably down somewhere around 50 cents, maybe a little bit lower than 50 cents if that were to happen. Again, keep in mind that this is on log scale. Here's your real chart right here. You do have several drives of bearish divergence come off this last high, and typically 3 drives and you're done for a long time. So I'd be looking at best for a long sideways consolidation here before anything, hopium related. Yeah, and likely to create a range, I suppose, as well between the highs of a few days ago at around, Jesus Christ, 1.25. Oh my God. And again, this low side area here at 71.25. That's what makes these shitcoins very difficult, man. These are massive percentage ranges. That is just insane. That is absolutely insane. We have Zara. He's saying, I'm streaming your YouTube live on TikTok. Fuck yeah. That's awesome, man. it's the one time you'll see me on TikTok. Hello, TikTok people of the world. We're over here on YouTube where normal people are. Anyways, Ray now says, I've been around since 2017. Thank you so much. Awesome, man. That's super cool to see, man. Bob USD on Bybit. Okay. All right, Bob USD. Okay, I know a Bob. Elsa thinks that's funny, but to me, it was a very traumatizing story. Anyways, Bob, don't like it, man. Now, how long has this thing been around? It's been around since May of 2023. It has not really participated in the upside market. It did get one pop here, but still nothing resembling an actual uptrend with higher highs and higher lows. Just lower highs the whole way through. I mean, I'd be bearish on this very, very long term. Doesn't mean that I can't get a pop up in the short term, but I'd just be expecting another lower high. Anything below whatever the hell this ungodly number is here would satisfy that criteria. So you know how these shitcoins go. Like, they can get these pops out of nowhere, but the general trend is to the downside. Whenever I see 1, 2, 3 lower highs in a row, that's usually a sign that things will break down. It's just a matter of time. Now, of course, technically you won't actually have a breakdown until you actually see a closure below whatever the hell this ungodly number is right here. But I do think it's just a matter of time before that happens, honestly. This is a weekly, by the way. Let's go to a daily just really quick. Daily, short term can easily get a bounce here. You do see some bullish divergence come off this last low. So again, you could very easily get a pop up. I mean, a big percentage pop up to like this region here, which is a 70% move. But long term, I'm just never going to like a chart like this as long as you're below that last prior high. Is a good sort of objective identifier of still not doing shit, actually. Anyways, moving on, we have Mr. Anima. He says, Mr. Krown, please AI 16Z. AI 16 derp. Okay. Let's go to MEXC for this one. And you slurped the dip at 1.4. Okay, so you basically bought the low, or you bought the low of today. I mean, it's a great trade. Are you trying to hold on to that for life? I probably wouldn't, but that's just me. This is a literal meme coin, so yeah, I'm not. I'm not of the opinion that meme coins are changing the world. I'm not of the opinion that meme coins are going to be hitting Murad's target. I do respect him, certainly, but I don't think I do think that thesis is flawed. Anyways, looking at this, I mean, yeah, it's in for a bounce here, and I think you made a phenomenal trade, honestly, and it could very easily bounce up. You could very easily see it bounce up, 185. Not necessarily exactly from, directly up from this exact level, but perhaps over the next week or two, something like that. 185 wouldn't be super out of the ordinary, but long term, it's going to ride and die with whatever Bitcoin does. It needs a strong Bitcoin in order for this thing to move up. And, for now, again, remember, this is regular scale, but, remember your last daily lower high was 235. So this thing is very, very, very far away from confirming anything resembling an uptrend at all. But again, I do think on the shorter term timeframes here, 4 hour namely, you're going to see a bounce. Maybe that bounce even gets close to like $2 over the next week or two. But if Bitcoin fails, this thing will fail more. And if Bitcoin moves up, then maybe this thing has a chance to at least put in a decent rally. We shall see. But either way, I think you made a great trade. I mean, you bought at 1.4. I mean, you're up big right now. You're up big time right now, sir. Thinking about the name says AIOZ, short and long term, please. Okay, AIOZ, USD. Let's go to this one here for full history. And you are looking at short and long term. Okay, well, I'm just gonna make it up then with a with a 4 hour and a daily or weekly, something like that. Weekly, again, similar to most of the other cryptos that we looked at today, in a big massive range right here. Basically, last week's high and low, not this week's, but last week's high and low represent both the high and the low of the of this weekly range here. Long term, it does have a reversal. It does have a technical uptrend going on here. You do see higher highs and higher lows on the weekly. So, I should have I should have a bullish bias within the context of this consolidation. But in the short term, what is it likely to do? It's likely to do more sideways here. I don't think this thing is breaking out nor breaking down anytime soon. I think that just like you've seen a test the top side of your range, you might extend this bounce a little bit more, but you will at some point get a little bit closer to the bottom side of the range. The real question is, when it does this, does it put in a higher low or not? For right now, it's obviously, remains to be seen. Short term, does it continue on with the rally a little bit more? Very easily could. I mean, if it wants to, somewhere around $1.02, something like that. But that doesn't do anything for the higher term timeframes, obviously. So it's again, in my opinion, sideways at best here as it works off of these extreme conditions. I wouldn't even be looking for a breakout or breakdown until you see volatility come back down and reset at least below like 25 percentile and something like this. So yeah. Anyways, moving on, we have Mr. Noah Reason. Oh, very clever, sir. Hopefully, I'm early enough before I start hearing my throat, woman. Elsa Bird, get me some water. Virtual daily, please, and thank you, sirs. Sure, ma'am. Okay, so remember this. You're Elsa Bird. Okay, so it's virtual USD, right? Okay, this is it. Virtual is protocol, and I believe this is like an AI agents type thing, right? Wow. Okay, so it's been around for. I was going to say it's been around for a while. It's been around less than a year, since May, but it did do very, very well during the bull market, which is a good sign long term, I guess. But in the short term, this thing, I mean, obviously it's topped out for a long time here. I mean, this is already down 40% with pretty much no bounces the whole way through. That is fucking gnarly. Multiple drives of bearish divergence on the daily RSI, but do I think that you're close to a low here and setting up for a new rally relatively soon? Yeah, I do think so. Now, do I think that you're setting up for a rally to new highs from here? That's highly questionable. But again, just like most things, you can bounce a lot. I mean, this thing could bounce up to $4, from somewhere around its current low, and then fail, confirm a lower high, and then work its way lower. But of course, what I'd feel comfortable calling on something like this is that, yeah, you're very likely to bounce somewhere around here, maybe gets a wick a little bit lower first and then tries for a bounce. But the real focus on what happens after that bounce. Does the bounce put in a lower high, something like this? That's going to be highly questionable for a very long time. The weekly, I mean, this is a hard chart to love here, to be honest with you. You do see a weekly reversal dildo right here. And thus far, we actually have seen this week already trade below the low of that reversal dildo. And it's actually even still a hair below it right now. If you see the weekly close below last week's low, that's a pretty fucking good signal that this thing is going to fall much further. I mean, I'd probably be looking somewhere, honestly, down around like below $2. I would be looking below $2. Weekly RSI even has some, not bullish, but bearish divergence right here as well. So, while I do think that this thing probably does attempt for a bounce, just be aware that the second it closes below, again, last week's low, which is 3.25 on a weekly closing basis, I have no problem calling a top here for a very, very long. I mean, I already think it's a top for a very long time, but I'd be calling like the top, I guess. And again, $2, maybe more to the downside, something like that, would look pretty bad. Would look pretty bad, sir. Anyways, thinking about the name, would look pretty bad, sir. Good luck with that. That was interesting as well. Thinking about the name says Doggy USD, short and long term. All right, did we look at this one earlier or not? No, I don't think so. Anyways, we'll look at it right here. Or did we already look at it? I think we did, actually. Hold on, let me just double check. Yeah, we did. Okay, so we're all good on that one. Maybe you just want to look at short term, as your comment does notify. Same thing here as Bitcoin. Short term tries for a rally. Looks like it might have hit a little bit of a short term high here. I think there's probably one more push or try towards 34.5 cents. maybe if things get a little more crazy, 35.5 cents, but I'd be looking for a local high right there and for it to kind of continue on sideways, in this trajectory. I just don't see anything interesting happening here anytime soon. I mean, you're going to very likely work off of these extreme conditions on the weekly BBWP, and that's just naturally going to take time. I mean, each and every one of these fucking periods is a week. So, if this is going to reset, I mean, the volatility can't reset actually very, very quickly. But, if I'm just eyeballing it, I would think like mid-Feb, mid-Feb. And if it is bearish, I mean, then, well, you'd probably be looking for a breakdown sooner rather than later. But again, I'm not necessarily there myself. I'm more sideways here than anything until one of the critical levels that we've spoken about gets really taken out. Sean Colifer says, blue box of peace and prosperity for Solana Daily Weekly. Ah, yes, the blue boxes of peace and prosperity. In Solana's case, it is the blue box of hopium, which I will make. Let me pull up my damn boxes here first. Peace and prosperity down here. Basically between, what would this be? This would be between December's low versus about the 55 here, which is 155. So anywhere between let's call it 175 to 155 would be my box of peace and prosperity. Just really don't want to see it below there if this thing is going to indeed continue on with the overall macro rally. By the same token, and just as we said on most of these cryptos, man, sideways. If you're bullish, you're looking for sideways at best for, I would imagine, at least 2 to 3 weeks. So that brings us into maybe beginning of February, or at least end of this month, but probably beginning of February. Anyways, yeah, I think that's what you wanted, maybe. Hopefully. Anyways, thinking about the name says XVG, Verge, short and long term. Okay, I remember this one from yonder years. I forgot it existed. And yes, indeed, now I remember it. This was the John McAfee coin, his coin of the week. And this thing literally pumped. I mean, this was the Wild West of cryptocurrency in 2 weeks. Okay. Please try to imagine this, because it's difficult to imagine. This thing, within the course of less than 2 weeks, went up more than 3,400%. 3,400 fucking percent. It's insane shit, man. And then coughed it up, never to be seen ever again, ever. Until today, where it makes its comeback. Just like I say for all of these things that have a long-term history of having one big pop and then selling off after that, I think you're going through the same shit over here as well. You're even seeing a bit of a head and shoulders on the weekly RSI. And extremes here on weekly BBWP. I think that you've hit a high on this, on that rally from December for a very long time. And at best, you're going to be working your way sideways in this range between essentially this week's high, or let's call it last week's high, and what would this be, like your December lows? But this is hopium. I mean, look, I don't think that this thing's going to actually reverse and go put in any real upside. But hey, if it were to break back above last week's high, okay, then this thing probably continues on with the rally. Maybe you see like 2.5, 3 cents, but don't think you're going to see anywhere remotely near even the last macro high, which was from 2021. So yeah. Yep. Anyways. Oh, you're also asking about short term. Short term, just like Bitcoin, wouldn't take too much to get this one to bounce a little bit more, maybe closer to like 1.25 ish. If things get really crazy, maybe it bounces all the way up to like 1.3 cent. But again, sideways is the name of the game here. It's just one massive range on the weekly, really. Anyways, Nishan says, who was the most interesting YouTuber? Who did you find it? Fuck, this is going to bother me so much. His channel is so good. Like, you should search, I don't know. Okay, whoa. Elsa is very, very angry right now. Anyways, thinking about the name says, Bitcoin dominance. When is this finally dumping, sir? Let's check it out over here. This one did have a nice pop up with Bitcoin coming down, but I am looking at this one as Takashi. That's him. Oh man, I need to show you this guy. This guy is great. Takashi.
Takashi, hello, I am Takashi from Japan, and today we ask, what's wrong with Japan's economy? Roko's explain.
And it's actually really fucking good. But he usually does like these sort of interviews with people in Japan about Japanese culture, and it's actually really, really fucking interesting, man. Maybe it's just interesting to me because I think Japanese stuff is inherently really fucking cool. But yeah. Thank you for grabbing that, Elsa. Miss Elsa Bird found it. Anyways, looking at Bitcoin dominance here, the weekly is in a range. I do think that this one does resolve lower. I do think it's probably putting in another lower high right here, honestly, because we do see daily RSIs already making higher highs than what the high was on the 31st of December. So you do have some potential for hidden bearish divergence. You know, it ain't much there, to be fair. But if I am on the daily here, it does need to be said, or sorry, if I am on the weekly here, it does need to be said, technically the weekly is not reversed yet. I think I would be comfortable saying that it is going to reverse and it is in the process of reversing, but technically it's not actually confirmed that just yet, because you do have up until this area here, this was a higher high, then came down, put in, this would be a higher low, but we got our first lower high right here. So technically speaking, in order to fully confirm the reversal, we do need to see this thing come down below. This would be December's lows. I do think that that's going to happen over a long enough period of time. And for right now, you know, I would say, yeah, I'm generally bearish on this, especially as long as you're below December 20th high. As long as you're below there, I think the top is in. I think the top is in for a very long time. And probably getting ready for a big downside move. But when I look at the monthly, I mean, could be wrong on this. I don't think it'll be wrong, but monthly does provide a slightly different look here, to be fair. But you know, I'd be running with what I just said earlier. As long as you're below December's high, let me just make sure. Yeah, December's high. I would be treating this as a reversal in progress, but technically not confirmed until you're back down below December's lows. Anyways, moving on. What?
We have 20 chats. Do you want to keep them open?
Don't you have class?
Yes, but just tell me. Do you want to keep them?
No, you can close them. When's your class?
11.
Oh, okay, 11. All right.
Class.
Well, you know what I mean. Anyways, let's move on. We have Mr. Dr. Checkmates. He says MicroStrategy daily and 8-day. Okay. 8-day is not a time frame I think I've ever even looked at. Have to actually literally add this one to my charts. Just oh no, I do have it right here. I don't know. I'll look at the 8-day. Not that I'm saying that it has any. I haven't really noticed that it has any, I guess, value above other time frames. I'm not seeing anything different here than what I saw earlier on the weekly, to be honest with you, man. I'd say the same thing as before. Look, it's the same shit as Bitcoin. If you're bullish, you're looking for this to continue sideways in this range between 400 to the upside versus 283 to the downside. You're quite literally in the middle of the range right now, so there's not really any easy calls. If I had to call it, probably tries a short-term downside move, but look for higher lows somewhere around about $300. But even then, you know, it bounces and then it just continues sideways here. I think this takes a long time for it to resolve. I mean, these are extreme reads. The last time that we saw something comparable in terms of weekly volatility was back in the March run. And that one took, I mean, I don't think it's going to take that long to resolve, but that did take 8 months long or 7 months long to actually resolve this consolidation. So, you know, there is that. Anyways, let's move on. We have Ray now. He's looking at Kotak Blank. Kotak Bank. Oh, it's a real stock. Okay. I'm pinning a new message. All right. Ooh, that was a good one. That was a good caffeine burp. All right. You're looking at Kotak Bank. What's the fucking ticker, man? I'm just going to type it in here and hopefully it pops up. Kotak. Okay. It's literally right there in front of my face. Embarrassing. All right, monthly and weekly. Let's start off high, we'll finish low. This thing has done fuck all since 2021. Just been one massive range here. The bottom side of your range, 1535. Top side of the range, about 2000. Let's call it just a nice round even number. You're literally in the middle of this range as of right now. I don't have any real calls on something like this, man. I really don't. I understand that that's probably not what you want to hear, but I don't I don't have a fucking bias on something that's literally in the middle of a range at this exact moment. I think at some point you're going to come down. You're going to see a move closer to 1600, probably bounces. And at some point you're probably going to see a bounce or a move somewhere close to 2000, and that will also get rejected. I think this thing's range bound for a little bit more time, actually. And if I had to call it, if I absolutely had to call it, I would say it probably gets a downside resolution. I could be massively fucking wrong in this, by the way. But I do see many drives of bearish divergence come off the last few highs here. And it is on very low volatility right here. So, maybe, I don't know, maybe around the end of this. Let's go to a very high term time frame. We need some more obvious. Okay, quarterly. Let's go to 6 months maybe. Yeah, if I had to call it downside move in the next 6 months, probably closer to like 1600. I do think it has another bounce there and then come back to it after that. Other than that, I don't have an opinion on this. Just a range bound market that's been ranging for, half of a decade almost. Kind of crazy, man. Okay, Nishant says, I stuck the abundance gem up my bunghole at the correct angle as described in the instructions. Still no pump. Am I doing it wrong? What? What? Where's my abundance gem? My bunghole's empty. Anyways, Chardonnay Flasher says, not in depth, but what are your thoughts on Ion Q? What the fuck? Ion Q versus or is greater than TGTI and QBT. What the fuck is this? I don't look at these things like ever, but I guess I don't know. Let's just see what these charts are. Oh, these are real stocks. Okay. All right. Well, that's actually probably better. Hey, you don't need me to tell you what I think right here. I think you're going to bounce. I think you're going to set up for a big bounce here. Might even bounce all the way up to like 43, 44 bucks, but that's going to be your next lower high. And that's going to be your high for a very, 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 very long time, I suspect. Yeah. That is a fucking hell of a weekly. Extreme BBWP, bearish divergence down to the 21 on the weekly almost immediately. That one versus TGTI doesn't have a chart, so can't really look at that. Institute for Economics and Peace. Sounds legit. No, QBTS. What is this? Quantum, some sort of quantum shit. It looks like all these things kind of trade with each other. So I'm guessing you're looking at like quantum computing stocks or something like that. It seems to me that they've blown off their tops in the short term. Yes, they're setting up for bounces, but I do think that those bounces fail and you'd see sideways and down for quite some time. Just personal opinion. Anyways, Mr. Deaver says, hey, Krown, it's snowing in Texas. It's a drug reference. Real stock iron, Iris Energy, daily weekly. Got it. Okay. I like how people say real stock. It is a real stock. It's a real boy. It's like the Pinocchio stock. Anyways, this thing, let's go to a higher time frame first. The weekly is within an uptrend. I don't like that it's put in the same high right here, but it does still have higher lows. So that is generally good. Does it come a little bit lower and try for a higher low somewhere around like 9.25? Maybe yes, but that would be a higher low to be fair. So, long term, I guess I don't hate it here, but I want to hate it, to be honest with you. If it does come below last month's low, I mean, you kind of have the same issue that I've been speaking about on many other cryptos, honestly. You don't have bearish divergence on the monthly, but maybe the bi-weekly. Yeah. I do think that this thing will trade lower in the short/medium term, at least like 9.5 or so, somewhere around there. Maybe lower towards like 870, 880-ish region. If it's bullish, you should be expecting a higher low somewhere in this region here. If it starts to trade, significantly lower than that, then I think this thing's continuing on with a major macro reversal, but it's not a ton of long-term history, to be fair. I mean, even Bitcoin has way more history than this. Anyways, we have Nishan. He's back. He's looking at Vedel on NSE. Okay, VUDO. All right. Let's see what this one's looking like. This is, I'm on a monthly right now. Again, I think that you've seen a high for a long time here. Sound like a fucking broken record here. I do think that this thing will at some point come down closer to like 390, 395 region. But I would be looking for a bounce there. Long term, it does have an uptrend, to be fair. So I should be respectful of it on this pullback first to try for a higher low. But if you see it much below about 390, that to me is a big, big, big warning signal. But yeah, in the short term, I mean, sideways and probably a little bit more down, but look for a bounce attempt somewhere in here. That would be a great place for a higher low if this thing is going to continue on with the overall macro uptrend, which it has been enjoying essentially since 2015. So yeah, if I had to call it, I think it's going to be short term down, but perhaps continues on with a long term up. Long term, it's actually not bad. So nice. Anyways, you're asking if it's good on the daily. I think you probably get a bounce soon on the daily, but I don't think that bounce is going to be like new all-time highs. I think you're going to be consolidating here for a while. I don't think there's any major rush on these things. This can easily take 1, 2, maybe even 3 months. Anyways, we have Michael Ambriel. He says, W bussin' stream as usual. What? Hey, what? TIA, please daily. Bussin' stream. Do you know what that means, Elsa?
No.
You don't?
No.
Not bussin'. Doesn't sound to me like you're bussin'. Anyways, let's see what this thing is doing. TIA. Very bad. Very fucking bad. Okay, so this thing blew its top off about a year earlier than everything else. Did not join in the late 2024 rally. Also not a great sign. And already at the lows of what it was trading at during this past summer. So you still have the same sort of trading range here that you see on many other things, and maybe it gets another bounce off this region. But I do think it's just a ticking time bomb as to how long it takes for this thing to actually break down. I do think that this thing will break down just given enough time. Does it break down on this week? Probably not. Does it break down this month? There will be a chance, sure, but I don't know. If Bitcoin puts in any sort of downside move, this thing will take that as an excuse to break down, I suspect. But until then, like I said, with the other ones in the range, like these ranges can go on for a very, very long time before they like fully resolve, Still working off of these extreme conditions or actually, no, it has worked off of the daily extreme conditions. So I do think you got at least another bounce here though. So maybe there's some hopium on the bounce. I mean, hey, if it trades back above your December highs, yeah, I mean, that would obviously be bullish, but until then, there's no talks of reversal. It's just a downtrend the whole way through, man. Very ugly. Very not bussin', sir. Big Bull says, Zeri, bro. Bounce area. Okay. Zeri, bro. It's actually a good question to be asking. It's a lot easier to answer that. Right around here. Just like I think most things are, setting up for short-term bounces. Again, don't confuse bounce with like a, reversal back up to major massive uptrend to new all-time highs, but a bounce here could easily take it back up to 40 cents plus, 40 to 45 cents, 47 cents, something like that. Long term, I mean, it's just not enough history here to really be going off. It's been around since fucking November, for Christ's sakes, but can easily bounce here, put in a lower high, come back down, and just continue on with this nasty, very boring range. If I look at the 5-day, I am more inclined to say that it will break down sooner rather than later, but still, I'd give it a chance to bounce off of retesting this prior low here, which did propel that last mega rally. So, it's in actually quite obviously it is already trying to bounce, but, maybe it looks something like this and then tries an actual downside move. We'll see. Obviously, if Bitcoin doesn't break down, this thing won't either, but I would be cognizant that is on the board there. Anyways, BK says is the bottom in for A16Z, AI16Z. Let's see. Whoops, went to the wrong one. Let me go to Mexico C, and I mean, I think that you have hit a low, and you will. I mean, you've already hit a low right here, and it is rallying. Although I do think this rally is a little bit weaker than a lot of the other ones, but I do think there's another bounce, and at some point you will see somewhere around like 170 to 180. But I'm not calling this like a reversal to new highs or nothing like that. This one is in the process of cementing in a pretty nasty downtrend. It has most of the indications of long-term topping that you see on many shitcoin charts early on in their history, where you see this massive move to the upside, followed by pretty much a straight move to the downside. And once the daily sets in a downtrend, those typically don't reverse for many of these shitcoins. But the fundamentals behind this one are great, right? I'm sure they have like good earnings reports to bring this one back up, right? Something like that. The jobs report will save it. Boo Radley, I think I read about you in that book, To Kill a Mockingerp. Thanks to you, I got all my Bitcoin below 25K. Fuck yeah, man. Thoughts on big red T, it looks like STD, but it's $TD. And what? Okay. Let's look at, we'll look at TD. Is this TD Ameritrade or no? You probably should put, okay. Oh, Big Red. Okay. It is a crypto. Oh my God. It's called Big Red. Like from Pineapple Express. Big Red. It's me, Big Red. Yeah. Looking at this right here. I mean, you are in a range. It is actually putting it compared to most things. It is interesting here because it is putting in potentially a weekly higher low. I mean, that is interesting, but overall the range is still your friend. Anything between essentially, your closing highs from November versus your lows of October, or sorry, not October, but August is your range. But this one actually looks like it will have a chance. Now, will it have a chance if everything else does not? I mean, no. So that would again be a good credit towards perhaps a bounce short term, more likely first, which we have been saying. But yeah, on this one, on the daily, I'd actually be looking for this one to trade back up towards the top side of the range. Maybe it breaks above there, maybe it doesn't, but it should have a test somewhere around there. And if it does break, then you're probably looking at a nice move closer to whatever the fuck this ungodly number is here, which is probably a big percentage move, to be fair. But yeah, I don't necessarily like the weekly trend, but I do like a potential for a weekly higher low, which this one is showing. But yeah. All right. You're looking at very low term timeframes. You're looking at like a 4 hour, very short term. I think you're close to the high of this bounce on short term. Maybe it trades a little bit closer, like 53, 5,400, but it's a good place for a local high and then come back down. Maybe it puts in a higher low after that and then tries again higher, but yeah. Anyways, we have Nishan. He's back. He's looking at Brett. When Lambo? Asking for real. Myself. Got no friends. I also have no friends as well. So let's see what Brett is doing. You're not my friend. Like, what the fuck? Elsa just said, what about me? Sir, you are my fiance, you fucking derp. Like, and okay, and we're the best of friends. Stop, Elsa. They're gonna think that I'm a simp. Okay? You're embarrassing me. Anyways, Brett, when Lambo? Well, the good news is if you bought in March, you already have a Lambo. You already had the Lambo. Again, like most things, this thing is in a weekly range here. Top side is 17 cents, bottom side is 11 cents. It just got around the 11-cent region trying for a bounce here. So I expect that next move is going to be a continuation of this short-term bounce. Maybe it comes up closer to 14 cents. Maybe it doesn't. Something like this, though, is what I'd be thinking, like sideways, sideways, sideways. If you see it above 17 cents, okay. Lambo times, I guess. I guess you can talk about Lambo times again. If you, however, see it below 11 cents on a closing basis, it's no longer Lambo talk. It's actually Well, it's probably tricycle talk, honestly, but I'd give it a chance to bounce here. Again, these ranges are going to take a while, I suspect, to resolve. So there's going to be a lot of twists and turns in them. And, you just hit a browned range low. So give it a chance to bounce, give it a chance for something like this, which technically still isn't an uptrend. Most other things that we've looked at today are not in weekly uptrends. This one is. So that kind of speaks for itself. But hey, the weekly trend reverses, if you break those range lows. And at that point, yeah, there's no more hopium dreams for a very, very long time. At least in my opinion. Anyways, Mikey L says, Supra, please, sir. 12-hour chart would be lovely. Okay, let's check it out. Supra. All right. 12-hour. Okay, very new thing. Maybe there's an exchange with more price action history, or maybe there's not. Let's see. No, they all looked about the same. Again, we have a new shitcoin here, which already has entered into a downtrend. I mean... I don't like that. You get these massive pop-offs in December, and then the stream is making me fucking bearish, man. Like, not good. I'm looking for highlights here. I don't see any bullish divergence. I mean, very short term, you had a very small amount, but maybe that pushes this current rally closer to like 3.5 cents, but still. Where's your last trending lower high? That would be right here. So as long as you're below about 4 cents, nothing of interest to the upside. I mean, again, it can bounce close to 4 cents, 3.5, 3.7, something like that. Put in another lower high, though. I mean, it's hard for me to ever look at something like this, which has never been in an uptrend, as, hey, it's going to reverse from here and enter into an uptrend. If I had to call it, I do think short-term up, I guess maybe has a chance, but again, this is the critical region right here. Until that's taken out, long-term downside is the name of the game. Anyways, Phil831 says, Sir, what's your thoughts on KNDX? I have never seen it or heard about it before in my life, so I don't know. Let's see. It's called Condux versus Wrapped Ethereum on Uniswap. Okay, I mean, at least it's been around for, it looks like a couple cycles, I think. Let's see. This was, okay, maybe not a couple cycles, but it's been around for a couple of years. It did have a very good rally in early 2024, did try to rally in late 2024, did not make new highs, so not the best sign there. Again, another one where it's like, I think you're close to a bounce soon. Maybe it trades a little bit lower, closer to like 4 cents even, but I do think that you try for another bounce there. But again, as long as you are below 7.5 cents, I mean, it is a downtrend. And so, maybe you come down here, bounce, maybe it bounces up to like 6 cents, 6.5 cents. But if you see another lower high, I mean, that's a good sign that this thing is going to be following the downwards path rather than the upsides path. Just like the last one, nothing bullish about this as long as you're below 7.5 cents. And I think if you're bullish, if you want to be bullish, essentially, I think you want to see a lot of sideways from here and just not breaking below the bottom side of the range, but just also not expecting that this thing is going to be moving to the upside anytime soon. Yeah. I mean, when I look at the weekly, I think that this thing's topped out, just to put it bluntly. But yeah, fair enough. All right, we'll move on. We have Justin Kaiser. He says, can you look at Turbo Coin, sir, please? Turbo Coin. Great name. Another one. Many drives of bearish divergence come off the last few highs. You're not going to like what I'm going to say about this, but I'm more inclined to say it comes down to 0.5 cent than anything else, or close to 0.5 cent. Yes, it's been in an uptrend for a while. Yes, it has been around even for a couple of years now too. But when you start to get multiple drives of bearish divergence on a weekly time frame, for example, these are almost always major highs, and in many cases, especially for newer shitcoins that don't have significant amounts of histories. I mean, usually those are like macro highs for many more years. Yeah, but let's see what we can do here. I mean, to be fair, on the daily time frame, you can have some hopium, I suppose, on the daily time frame as long as you're above November lows. I guess we did chart this one before, and here was my LARP lines, and I'm basically saying the same thing as the LARP lines, honestly. I do think that you're going to trade closer to these lows at some point, probably going to set up for another bounce off of those lows. That bounce is going to be the telling one to me, because if you see any sort of a rejection below about 1 cent, I mean, I think that's it for many years, to be honest. This stream is making me really fucking bearish, which is actually quite useful, because before I was holding on to a little bit of hopium, but now I'm starting to think that, if a lot of these shitcoins look like this, like, what does that mean for Bitcoin? As always, Bitcoin price action matters most for it, but it does need to be taken into consideration that is a possibility for Bitcoin. Still, I'd be more or less neutral, to be fair. Anyways, Crypto Rect RD says, hello, Sir Krown. Hello, Sir Crypto Rect. Deep USD on the weekly, please. Okay. Deep. Balls deep versus the US dollar. Very good here. Very, very good. And very good response on this bounce. Whatever this thing is very strong. Very, very strong. If you're playing this, you actually have to look at today's low as the low. If you're going to be bullish, you'd be expecting sideways and up from here. This is one of the first charts we've seen today that actually looks decent. And the weekly on this dump just had to reconnect to the 5 exponential. So yeah, what I would say is you have a very obvious way to play this one. A very fucking obvious way to play this. As long as you're above today's low, treat it as a low. And sideways and up is the name of the game. Now, I wouldn't necessarily be looking for a breakout to new highs exactly from here, but if you see a move back above about 17 and a quarter or so and close above there on a daily, then yeah. And by the same token, if you close below today's low, like literally today's low, if you close below there on a daily time frame, then I'd be calling this thing done for a very long time and probably going to come down to like 10, 11 cents. But yeah, this was the first somewhat strong one that we've seen today, actually, which is very interesting. But I would say that, either which way you're looking at this one, you're probably not going to get a resolution on the range until you see daily volatility work off of these extreme conditions. I mean, I want to see this come back down at least below 50 percentile before I see a breakout or breakdown. So that's, again, aligning with what I've been saying mostly on a lot of these things, which is like, yeah, you're setting up for a little bit of short-term bounces, but it's generally sideways within a range. I don't think there's anything super interesting going to be happening right now. Anyways, Big Bull says IO USD on Bybit daily chart, please. Okay, IO. I guess this is the thing. It's a new one for me as well. You always have new ones. It's very interesting, actually. It was very interesting. Okay, so let's go over the bigger picture first. Okay, that's your big bad level to be aware of to the upside. Where's your big bad level to the downside to be aware of? That'd be right around here. I'll give you a range between about 266 to the downside versus 430 to the upside. You just put in a lower high below the high of the range. That was on your January rally, and now you're coming back down to the low side of the range. I mean, it's the same thing. I'll say the same thing here as I said on many of these things, man. I think, short term, you're already getting that bounce that we spoke about on Bitcoin. Maybe it comes back down close to the low again, sometime intraday today alongside jobs report. But I do think you are setting up for a bounce here overall. I don't think it's going to like fall through the fucking cracks and go straight down like that. I don't think it's going to get nuked like that. Even if it does break down, I think it would happen like much later on, honestly. But yeah, this thing, I think you're going sideways within this range for a very long time. If you do trade above January's high, which is, I don't know, like 407 or so, at that point, I'd say, hey, okay, this thing is ready to like actually have a real move to the upside, and it will very likely break this 430 range high right here, and this thing could move up to $5 plus, 5.25 to 5.5 from there. But one thing before the next, of course. Give it a chance to kind of work itself out sideways here. It does seem to be putting in a bit of a microstructure potential for an uptrend with that, with today's price action, putting in potentially that higher low right there. But I think it's just naturally going to take some time, man, at best. Anyways, we have Elsa is a better assistant than any AI agent ever could be. How fucking dare you? She will work as a slave until the end of her days. And I won't take no for an answer. Justin Tomiak says, desync, full hour, and daily, sir. Had it back since 2015. Holy shit. That's a long time, man. Let's see. Mexi. Has it been around since I don't think it's been around since 2015. Maybe meant the 15th of December. I don't know. Or since 15 cents. Okay, so you're in from like way, way lower. Way, way lower. And you're a little bit more than 2x up right now. I mean, that's pretty fucking good. You know, I think at best on this one, it's in one massive macro range. You have your same highs here. The hope here for this one, just like some of the other slightly stronger ones that we've seen, you know, in the greater picture, is that you put in a higher low on this pullback. Higher low would be anything above this low over here from late December. As long as you're above there, there's potential for, you know, something like this, put in a higher low, work its way sideways and up. But again, you know, gonna take a long time. Like we're talking at least into February for something like this. Again, daily extreme conditions on BBWP. I think you're going to be working off of this for a long time. You will work your way closer to the bottom side of the range, but I would be looking for a bounce on the bottom side of the range. And yeah, if it puts in a higher low, I mean, that actually, I mean, looks fine. I mean, you have same highs with higher lows. It's actually showing a little bit of relative strength, to be fair. So yeah, I wouldn't get too bearish unless if it actually takes out your December 30th low. If that happens, okay, yeah, this thing's breaking down, but it does have a nice uptrend here. So, you know, give it a chance. Something like this. All right. Let's see. Looking for the next big opportunity ladder. And yeah, I would, no, I don't think that the low is in. I think that this thing will work its way closer to 30 cents. Maybe not, I mean, probably not today or this week, but maybe like late January, something like that. Most things are setting up for an attempt at a short-term bounce here. This one, trying, but not getting too far, to be fair. Anyways, Crypto Rect says, sir, OM on weekly, please. Is this piece of technology topped? Has been pretty stable throughout the shitcoin dumps. Check it out. Let's see. I'd be interested to see if you do have strong shitcoins today. That would be very interesting to see. It is holding up relatively well compared to most shitcoins. I'd certainly agree with that. I mean, this thing has been closer to a stable coin than not. I mean, it did have a 10% move right here, but that's like a Bitcoin move. And most shitcoins are moving like, you know, 20, 30, in some cases, 40%. This one, I'd give it the benefit of the doubt, man. I mean, to me, the January spike low here from the 9th, which was actually yesterday. Okay, hold on. I'm on a 4-hour fucking time frame. Let me go to a real time frame. Whoa, this is crazy as hell. Crazy as hell. I'm just looking at the long term there. This one actually kind of does have a chance here. To be fair, this one actually kind of does have a chance here. A little bit on the stronger side, I would say. 12-hour time frame. I do think that this one will try probably an upside move in the short term, 420 to 430-ish region. And if you see it close above about 433 on a higher term time frame, then I'd call that a breakout to new highs. Until then, you know, sideways is the name of the game. But in the short term, I do think that this thing's a little bit more poised towards an upside try than a downside try. So yeah. Anyways, we have Anderson, and just to answer your question, I wouldn't call this one topped until it actually puts in like a real daily downtrend. And actually right now, it doesn't even have a daily downtrend. I mean, you do have potential for, I mean, this is a lower high right here, yes, but it doesn't have a lower lows just yet. And that's a more important thing. And again, that won't happen until it comes down below about 330, 331, 332, something like that. All right, Anderson77 says XRP full hour daily short term. What are the chances we get a new 2025 coin list? You mean like a listing on Coinbase? We need more dwarfs, sir. That was fun. That was fun, man. It was fun while it lasted, which wasn't very long. It was short and sweet. With many red dildos afterwards. Anyways, XRP in the short term, actually quite similar to the last chart that we looked at. Although in the short term, I don't know if I'd say, well, maybe it does try a rally from here, but again, sideways in this range is going to be the name of the game for a while. While I do think it might rally a little bit from here, I still think you're kind of range bound. And if we're going off of just the weekly range, it would be last week's high versus last week's low. Last week's dildo basically tested both sides. So as long as you're between there's nothing of super great interest to be speaking about. But this thing is actually setting up relatively strong compared to 99% of shit that we've seen today. And again, I say that, and I don't own any XRP, and I don't care to own any XRP. But that is true. If it did come down closer to like 210 or so, I'd look at that as a potential for a higher low. But I'm just not bearish on this thing until it actually confirms a downtrend. And your downtrend will be confirmed below $2. Until that happens, everything's a higher low, and I'd be biased towards an upside move first. In fact, the weekly, probably the low is already in. Well, at least for this week, but who knows what next week will bring on this thing. Looking at very low term timeframes, entering into a bit of a short-term downtrend here. So perhaps I'm a little bit more biased towards maybe a slight pop on this one, but I do think this one will test the downside of the range. But the real question is, does it actually bounce there and put in a higher low or not? So always difficult when things are like right in the middle of the range. But yeah. Anyways, we have Mr. Coffee, please. He says, no Santa. No Santa. Okay. No Santa. All right. I guess Radium, Bybit, Blowfin, whatever the fuck fin. Let me see what time from weekly. Okay. I'm not sure how much of a weekly there is here. Actually, I mean, looking at last week's low, I do think that that's a good pivot point for this one. Like if you're bullish, you have to be treating this as that next higher low coming in, and it will be confirmed as actually bullish and entering into a real uptrend for the first time in its life on the weekly time frame if it can actually trade and close above your 448, 449 highs here, just anywhere above December's highs, basically. If you see a closure above there, then your reversal is complete, and this thing actually would reverse into an uptrend. And I do actually, when I look at the weekly, I do think that's possible here. Obviously, if you do take out this week's low, there's your confirmation that this thing is setting up to continue on with the overall macro downtrend. But similar to one of the other ones that we looked at, last week's low is a big pivot point for something like this. So as long as you're above there, okay, I would actually be treating this as a higher low, to be honest, and very likely to test somewhere around the top side of the range, maybe even break out. At which point, if it does break out, you're looking at a move $5.75, $6. Yeah. With potential for significantly more as well, actually. Anyways, we have BK next. He says Rax versus Solana. All right. Rax. Sol. Rack Sol. Black Rack. Okay. Oh God. The memes that are coming into my mind are just terrible. I don't know, man. Very, very new here. Very fucking new. I know you asked about a 4-hour time frame. I do think in the short term, you will try for a bounce here. You will try a bounce north of 1 cent. Something like this. But any sort of a rejection in this zone here is a nice lower high. Now, this thing is really fucking early days. So, it's kind of early to call any trend either which way, but it really does look like it's setting up for that. Based off the daily right here, I think that the downside is not over in like the medium or longer term. I just think it's a short-term pop followed by very likely breaking down after that. I do think you find it back down around like, what is this, half of a cent? I don't know, somewhere around there. But that's long term. Well, long-term concern for something like this, which has been around for a couple weeks, less than 2 weeks. Very nice. Very good history. Calamity says, Top Quant, can we look at Super on MEXC daily and weekly? Actually, I have Super. Where's my Super Dubers? There.
The bottom one.
What?
He changed it.
Oh, he changed it. He wants to look at ALU. Okay. All right. ALU. Okay. Altura. Okay, another interesting one here, doing something kind of different, I guess. I mean, it's not breaking down in the short term. In fact, if anything, it looks like it's trying for the higher low, kind of where it's at right now. Let's do a nice little chart for this one, the overall range, and then the trend. Trend, your last higher low is right here. Your last highs right here. Same highs. Has been putting in higher highs before that. This would be a higher low right here. If it does put in a higher low right here, I mean, that's a really fucking bullish sign. Should retest around 15 cents. I wouldn't discount the possibility of this thing first, maybe trying a very short to move to the upside and then coming down a little bit lower, but putting in a higher low right here compared to this low from early January. I'd give it a chance to do that, honestly. But that would actually be bullish. That actually set it up for a real try to the upside. Of course, your real try to the upside is not really relevant for talking about, like, I guess new all-time, or not new all-time highs, but like a pretty sizable move to the upside, closer to like 20 cents, 25 cents perhaps. Sorry, I should say 20 cents until you break above this region right here. But now it's still in a correction. I do think there's maybe a short continuation try of the short-term move to the upside, but I don't think this is the one that actually tries towards the top side of the range. I think it stops out somewhere around here, then comes back down, and then you might get your real higher low somewhere around here. It's kind of what I'd be looking at on something like this. Weekly look says I'm wrong. Weekly look says if you're bullish, you should be bullish from here, but that's just my opinion. I do think that this is a really fucking weird chart, but it is technically in a weekly uptrend. So, if it's in a weekly uptrend, you should respect it as long, or at least I should respect it as long as it's above its last higher low. And that would be your December spike down here. So fair enough. Anyways, all right. I'm at the bottom of the chats. I'll actually hang around here. We'll do some of the regular comments as well. Just the regular ones, very demeaning. But you know what I mean. What's up, Bear Nutrition? Good morning to you, my man. It is our lovely moderator. As always, let me see. Is there anything? Jamie Garazzo says, caught your live stream. Can't wait till you move to Tampa/Sarasota area. Been watching you since your Chicago days. SUI on daily, please. You know what? We'll do SUI just for that. Yeah, we're really looking forward to visiting Florida, and then maybe getting a place there. Sui, much different chart than most things. Definitely relatively strong here. Problem is, you absolutely 100% do not want to see a local high confirmed at its current region, because at that point I would be looking for a correction down to like 330. But how would you confirm a local high here on a higher term time frame? We need to see a daily closure below Wednesday's low. Wednesday's low is 439. For right now, this thing's setting up for continuation. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing retest all-time highs, maybe make new highs. I treat it bullish and more likely to continue as long as the trend is intact. And again, your higher low here is 439. Below 439, expect a relatively quick move down to 390-ish region. Probably a try for a bounce there, but I think the second that you trade below this week's low, this thing is reversing for the long term, and all bounces will be stifled and aim for much lower. And this one probably would find its way down to, I don't know, like 285, 290-ish region. But hey, until that happens, I would actually be bullish on this one. Even though there are many drives of bearish divergence over here on the daily time frame. What about the weekly? Yeah, weekly has potential for it, but does not have local highs confirmed just yet, but it is there. So if you do take out this week's low, I think this thing would turn around very fucking quickly. But until then, actually on the stronger side of things. And if Bitcoin shows any sort of, life on a bounce, this thing should actually do quite well. Yeah. All right. Anderson77 says, Elsa, please tell Krown we need a new 2025 coin list from both of you, since you are trading meme coins now. No, I'm really not. I just thought the dwarf one was it's only Elsa, honestly, but I just thought the dwarf one was so fucking funny, man. It was so creative and so unique. Unfortunately, I don't think that there's going to be. I think that in general, what we've seen from most meme coins today is that most of them are done. Most, if not all of them are done, or very close to almost all of them are done. If there is going to be another like major, massive fucking explosion in terms of these things that, these assets that go up crazy amounts, I think it's going to be a new sector, a different sector, a new sector. AI agents seem to be like the new hot thing. That's like the new hot topic, which is actually really interesting, as they always are. But, these things change really fucking fast. We fly with Sui. Okay, nice. When my bag moon, I don't know. Have you tried putting your bag on a rocket? Because that would be a good way to get it on the moon. However, if you're looking for a price to bring you up there, most things are not mooning, actually. Taryn Tracy says, hey, Krown, would love you to hear your opinion on Brian Armstrong's research coin and how you think the chart is looking. Well, I don't know anything about the actual coin, but I can look at the chart if it has one. Oops, I just goofed up. Research coin? I don't unless if it's this right here, which I don't think it is. I can't look at it because it's not on TradingView, man. Brood Mother. Is that a StarCraft reference, actually? How many green hourly candles can Bitcoin do? It's already 12 green in a row. Moi moi. Actually, we have something to look at for that. Let me go over here. So this is, holy shit, you're right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 12 in a row. You know what's crazy is that the CT sequential indicator, which I'm referring to this one right here, the one that comes with the price statistics. Where the fuck is it? What? Yes, right here. This one right here. Where is it? It measures the probability of consecutive closures of the same kind. So in this case, green or positive closures. But as you can see, these statistics are actually capped at 11 for this one. And I think that actually means that we've never seen 12 in a row before, or Caretaker ran out of space to add 12 here. Because the probability is really fucking low. Like very fucking low of that occurring. But yeah. I do think that again bodes well for saying, hey, this rally, this current rally can try another short-term move to the upside. But I do think ultimately, you get a little bit of a short-term high and you come back down close to these current lows, and then that's going to be the potential time when we actually do see either a higher low or some sort of divergence if you want to be bullish. Like that's what I'd be looking for. So yeah, actually really good catch right there, because I had not really noticed that, to be honest with you. But yesterday, being that it was technically a closed day with the U.S. markets not trading, I do think that kind of fucks a lot of things up. But we'll see. Either way, it's kind of the same shit as what I'm saying. It's like this current rally, yeah, it's probably going to find a little bit of a pullback relatively soon. So we are witnessing history right now. Regarding what, sir? We're always witnessing history. It's just most of it isn't very important. Let me see what else we got. Notes from Dota. Oh, okay, Dota, nice. I never got into that one, to be honest. Let's see. What do you think about SAI? Yeah, I wrote this one down in my notes last time because I wanted to keep an eye on it. I'm looking for it to put in something resembling a higher low above just under 6 cents. If it does, that would be my kind of signal to myself that this thing is actually good and will continue on with this macro uptrend. Macro uptrend has been around for like fucking 6 months, 5-6 months. Like it's not really a macro uptrend, but you know what I mean. So, again, when you're testing the same highs over here, but you still have higher lows, I'm going to be biased towards the upside. Somewhere around 6 cents is where I'd be looking for on the next higher low. So I really want to see the response if and when it does get around there. And if I do see that it has a nice bounce and it's forming an actual low, then that to me is a really, really good sign for something like this to at least test the top side of the range and probably even break out, especially based off something like this, which has been decent. It's been decent, I suppose. All right. A lot of people very concerned about the Department of Justice selling Bitcoins. I don't think that they've actually sold yet, and I actually don't think that it matters as well. I honestly don't think that it matters that much. The reason why I say that isn't because selling, like anyone selling, doesn't force the price down. Of course it does, but these sort of instances where we've seen major government entities dump a shit ton of Bitcoin, these have typically correlated around major lows more often than not. Like when you get the news about something and when it actually happens, that usually is the end of the price's response to that event. But that's the point when most people actually get very concerned, So that's just something that I think I and many other people have noticed as well. So to me, it's not honestly that concerning. Bad news always comes out around the lows. Good news always comes out around the highs. It's just, that's just the way that it fucking works. Anyways, we already looked at virtual earlier. How come they can buy OTC but sell on Coinbase? Who can buy OTC and sell on Coinbase? Because I don't think the U.S. government is buying OTCs. I think they're seizing it from bad actors or somewhere. I actually saw, oh my God, I watched for the fucking third or fourth time one of these Bitcoin documentaries on Netflix, and they're always about Bitcoin scammers, or not necessarily Bitcoin scammers, but crypto scammers. And the most recent one I watched was so fucking funny, man. Oh my God. It was about these two, I mean, they were kind of kids. They were maybe in their like late 20s, early 30s, something like that. People, a guy and a girl who lived in New York. The girl was like this massive influencer, and they stole, or they allegedly stole. I think they pleaded guilty, but I'm not sure. They stole like $4.5 billion from Bitfinex. And these people are like, the girl might very well be redacted. It's very possible. But it was great, man. If you have Netflix, you should watch it. It's really, really funny. It's super fucking funny. Pulse chain has 5x the volume of Cardano, is fundamentally bullish. Good luck with that, sir. Good luck with that. You have to understand that the Hex people, there is nothing that you can say to them that will change their mind about Hex. And for the people that hate Hex, there is also nothing that you can say to them that will change their mind about Hex or Pulse chain or whatever the fuck it is. Despite all of the Hexers congregating on Twitter and I don't know, just ganging up on shit. Anyways, yeah, Razzlecon, that's the one. I think she only got like maybe like a year or a year and a half in prison. I actually don't think that she got that fucked, to be honest. Razzlecon, yeah, that was her name, Razzlecon. Let me see if I can find one of her videos. I mean, this girl stole $4.5 billion. Oh my God. Yeah. There, and she's like, let me just play this. All right, this speaks for itself. I mean, it really does. Okay, so as you're watching this, I want you to envision this person alongside her husband or her boyfriend or something like that, stealing $4.5 billion from fucking Bitfinex.
Hey Razzlers, who here has or has had shitty people in their life before? I like to refer to these people as leeches. We all get them in our lives sometimes. It's not our fault, but what matters is that we get rid of the leeches by vacuum cleaning them away.
All right, start rapping, bitch.
Ask me to rap. My love, don't cry. The leeches have come to suck you dry. This too shall pass by, 'cause John, our love will never ever die. And then, okay, it's not that.
Okay, that's enough. What about the Hawk Tua girl? Is she going to prison for her scam? I don't know, honestly. I don't know the story with the Hawk Tua girl, to be honest. I know that she had a coin. Let's see. Is it on TradingView? Hawk Tua. It is on TradingView. Holy shit. It's on Poloniex. Wow. Yeah, it looks exactly what I would think most fucking meme coins would look like. I mean, I kind of feel bad for her in a way, because I'm sure what happened with her is that she became super famous from this like one-off video that happened when she was probably strolling home drunk as fuck from a bar that like she didn't think about twice, and then blew up out of nowhere. And then once she got famous, then not all of the crypto scammers, but crypto scammers realized, holy shit, this is perfect. We have meme girl plus meme coins being hot right now. Let me just make a fucking meme coin on her, involve her in it, sell her on the project, and then we can just fuck everyone over. Or I don't know if they can fuck everyone over or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I mean, these things are worthless anyways, but yeah, she's going to get dragged down with it. Of course, she's supposed to do her own due diligence with these sort of things. Yes, I get that, but I can see where she's coming from. It's like, you get caught up in something like that, and then all of a sudden you have a fucking massive, girthy red dildo up your twat going through your mouth, and you're in jail for selling Hawk Tua coin. Something like that. What's up, Nikki Page? Happy New Year to you as well. Welcome to the very end of the stream, I think. Tua got sniped. Don't think she knows. I don't really think she even understands what happens. I mean, I don't think that she was really involved in this space before. Was she? Or maybe she was. I don't actually know, but I would assume not. I think she just kind of got caught up in all this shit. And I think if you're gonna have like real blame, it's probably the developer teams or the marketing team that thought of this idea. And at the end of the day, in my opinion, and I know this is maybe not a popular opinion, but in my opinion, it takes two to fucking tango. And look, there are a plethora of absolute dog shit, totally worthless scams out there in cryptocurrency land. And if you saw the fucking white paper, if there even wasn't a white paper for Hawk Tua, I mean, if you decided to buy that, that's on you. You're a fucking idiot. You are also an idiot. And I'm also an idiot too, okay? I'm not being judgmental here. I am also an idiot, but I'm not that dumb. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Anyways, time to rewind. Put her in Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, she should definitely be there. She's very dangerous. Who knows what the fuck happens with her, man. But I do feel bad for something like that because I mean she's fucked now, like socially. She can't post anywhere without millions of people reminding her, hey, where's your scam coin or some shit like that. So she's probably having a pretty bad time. And I think she just kind of got caught up in these things. But again, I don't fucking know her. I've never spoken to her. I don't know nothing about her. That would just be my, that's just kind of my take on that one. Does she go to jail or not? Probably not. I don't think many of these people go to the jail, honestly. I mean, even the people who do go to jail, like fucking Sam Bankman-Fried and Caroline and all these people who really did something very, 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 very illegal, they don't seem to get very crazy sentences, at least from what I gather. I mean, it's, what's a few years when you steal fucking billions? I mean, it's insane to me. You would think that billions would correlate to at least 10, 15, 20 years in prison. I mean, that's just me, I guess, but it is what it is. Pippen, is that Scottie Pippen's coin? Man, I love Scottie Pippen, but I have to say that this is quite questionable here. Oh, there's perps there's fucking perps. That is crazy. I don't want to look at the perps, so I want to look at this one here. Okay, surprise. I have spoken too soon. I do think you've hit a local high here, and it does come back down to 16, 17 cents. But compared to most charts we've seen today, at least this one's gone up. At least it's gone up. But I do think you're hitting a local high here. Yeah, 4 hours going to have some bearish divergence upon confirmation of this as a local high, which will be confirmed if it comes back down and closes below last 4 hour low, which is about 18.5 cents. At that point, probably looking at a nice retracement closer to 13, 14 cents, somewhere around there, I guess. SBF paid off the right people. Yeah, I mean, I think he paid off everyone, man. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like he's just sending money to fucking everyone except his customers, I guess. Crazy one as well, man. I can understand how taking a shit ton of Adderall, anyone who's taken Adderall knows this, and I've taken a good amount of Adderall in college, and I can understand how you take a shit ton of Adderall and then all of a sudden you start making these decisions that make sense in your head, but they are not the right decisions to make. I mean, Adderall is fucking meth, it literally is methamphetamine. Just so you know, if you're not familiar with these things, methamphetamine is it's like the same drug that most trailer trash does, right? If you think rotting teeth and back alleys and shit like that, he was basically taking that. I mean, Adderall, Ritalin, whatever the fuck, I think it's the exact same compound or very close to the same compound as methamphetamine. And, you have a bunch of people just hopped up on that all day long, prescribed by their doctors at super high levels, and it probably just gets carried away with these sort of things, man. Yeah. Krown, can you check AI XBT on the daily? Sure. Having fun staying on the stream for a while and don't have any major plans today, so can run this one a little bit longer than usual. Another altcoin that's, it's doing something different than most. Again, you do unfortunately have a downtrend here, but potential to reverse it. I mean, you just popped up exactly to the area that you'd want to reclaim in order to have a potential reversal. Because right now you still have lower lows and lower highs, but on this pullback over the next day or two, whatever it ends up being, what you want to see if it's going to be bullish is you want to see it pull back perhaps a little bit, but put in a higher low, anything above your lows from Thursday, and then work its way back up here. And if it can reclaim about 59 cents, let's call it, on a 4-hour closing basis, then this thing should retest highs, probably even continues on with the overall rally. But very, 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 very new on something like this, but a very good response as well. So I mean, if you are going to be bullish, like, you should be treating today's low, or yesterday's low for that matter, as the low, meaning that there's hopium as long as you're above there, but doomium the second that you go below there, and this thing probably just joins the rest of most of the shitcoins that we've seen today if that were to happen. Drugs seem wild to me, says Nikki Page. They are indeed wild. The problem is that everything's a drug. Everything in their mother is a fucking drug. Even the caffeine that you drink each and every day, assuming that you do drink caffeine. And some people asking for super. We've done that several times earlier, I believe. So I'll move on. Then the first time I took Adderall in 9th grade, my dorm mates at boarding school. You took it at 9th. How old are you in 9th grade? Okay. 5th is like 10. So 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So you're like 14. Holy shit, man. First time I took Adderall in 9th grade, my dorm mates at boarding school without any research at 8 p.m. at night. LOL, because I heard it might do something. It might do something. Dilled sleep at all. Yeah, you didn't sleep at all. Exactly. And wasn't tired the next day. Well, the problem is, okay, I took, my friend in college he didn't have Adderall. He had something that was above that. It was called Vyvanse, and it was just Adderall on steroids, basically. And every time we had finals, I would say, hey, how about some of those Vyvances, dude? And I'd spend all night, literally all fucking night, studying. And the crazy thing is that stuff was so strong that I stayed up 2 nights just fully in a row and wasn't tired even in the least bit. Like actually not even tired at all. Like, I was fucking ready. I think I was even going to the gym those days too. But after that, the crash, holy shit, I've never slept better in my life. It's actually insane. It's actually fucking insane. Trading is a drug too. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. And unfortunately, all of us are addicted, or at least I am. So it's a bad one, man. Did you know that meth stays in your body for 3 to 5 days, but your brain needs 6 to 12 months to reset and go back to homeostasis? No, I didn't know that. That's actually super concerning. I hope that all the people taking meth know this. Do you think everyone taking meth knows that? Maybe not. Maybe not, man. I'm scrolling through some of the chats here as well. I just want to see. Yeah, RazzleCon. Yeah, she's a character, man. She's a character. I like her, honestly. Yeah, the news about the Department of Justice getting the green light to sell doesn't necessarily mean that they'll sell, but the reaction from the market of the potential of selling kind of, front runs the actual selling, to be honest, because that's like the actual response. It is weird to me though. Like, why would they just sell on Coinbase? Like, they could easily just find a buyer OTC and not have to like potentially fuck people. And it is what it is, I guess. See your own head as a bank with money. Use one drug and it's going to cost you money, and it rhymes as well. Then you need to work up the capital again. Doesn't rhyme, so it doesn't matter. You can get almost the same effect with testosterone. I don't know about that. I don't know about that, sir. But at least not the ones that I've heard of or seen. Methamphetamine. Very clever, sir. Vyvanse is non-narcotic also. I don't know what that means. That's narcolepsy, which means like it stops people from falling asleep randomly. Yeah, I can attest to that. It's very effective in that manner. I've done my research. I've done my back testing there. Very, 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 very true, actually. It will certainly keep you from falling asleep within about 24 to 48 hours, depending upon your tolerance. It is what it is, man. But I think about the body of these comments, don't really see anyone chiming in now. So I think that's probably my cue to end the stream. It's been a nice, fun stream on this lovely little Friday. Again, we'll continue to do these sort of impromptu streams. Maybe I keep the schedule Tuesday, Friday. Yeah, I would like to do 2 per week, so at least until February. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll hopefully give you a little bit of a notice on the day prior's video. And yeah, that's what we'll end things for today. As always, I want to wish everyone the best of the best. Take care. Much love and